Toddler Phonics Part 2. Associating letter sounds with objects and finger tracing activities. In this video, you will learn how to introduce phonic sounds with objects, how to plan for basic finger tracing activities which will lay the foundations for written stroke practice and letter formation. When you are teaching your child to finger trace, always use the two-finger technique, the index finger and the middle finger. We use these two fingers along with the thumb to hold a writing tool. Hence, we begin finger tracing with these two fingers. First, the child is guided. An adult holds the child's hand and gets the child to trace following the given arrows. Then the child has to trace independently, saying the name of the letter and the sound. Prepare finger tracing cards as shown on this slide. Notice the arrows that show the proper direction that the fingers have to follow. It is a good idea to emboss these letters and give them a rough surface. It is easy to emboss. You could emboss it with millet, put Fevicol on the surface and pour millet or some other grain of your choice and let it dry. You could also use felt paper or handmade paper. Sandpaper is also used, but since it is a little rough, it could hurt the tender tips of a child's finger. So, prepare cards like this. Embossed would be preferable. If you are embossing, then these arrows would have to be marked on the outside of the letters. When the child is tracing, the child has to say both the name and the sound of the letter. A, A. Now, we also have the cursive letter. This is not mandatory. Those who wish to introduce cursive letter tracing at this young age are free to do so. But if you would like to put this off for a later stage, that also could be done. But when tracing a cursive letter, the child should not lift the fingers but follow the numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, once again, the child says both the name and the sound of the letter. A, You could choose 1 or 2 letters per day maximum, not more than that. Now, behind each letter card, stick objects that begin with the sound of that letter and get your child to point to the letter, say the sound, and then name the object. Alligator. Ant. Apple. Ass. Do this with all the letter cards. Here you have an example of B. So behind this card, you would have pictures of objects that begin with B. Book, bus, ball, etc. Another good activity is tracing on flour. You could use rice flour, wheat flour, or all-purpose flour. Rice flour is a good option because it does not stick to the fingers. Sand is not recommended because a little child tends to put his or her finger into the mouth often. Flour is harmless, and even if the child does this, it will cause no harm. Another good activity is to give your child an outline of the letter and then get the child to put clay dough on top of the letter. This builds again the memory of the shape in the mind of the child. So let's go back to the activities that are recommended. One is your letter tracing card, preferably embossed, and this helps to develop muscle memory. What is muscle memory? Muscle memory is the stimulation that goes from the tips of the fingers to the brain and forms a pattern in the brain. Hence, we recommend embossed letters. And behind each card, objects that begin with the name of the letter. Tracing on some kind of flour and then putting Play-Doh on the outlines of letters. All these activities are pre-writing activities. Please go to the website cfte.in, go to the download section and then click on others. You will get a lot of useful preschool guides and templates that you can use to teach your child. Below this video, you will find links to websites that have interesting preschool activities. Thank you.